Thanks, Jim. Tony, I guess I'll just kind of start that big picture. What was it like for you guys to be back out on the field today, and what did you enjoy most about getting back to doing what you guys do best?
Oh, just grateful to be on the grass. That was the message that I closed practice with, and that's the spirit that I came out with, and it was matched by the players. Just grateful to have an opportunity to get to play football again. It's been a long time, and definitely still got heavy hearts for everything that we went through as a program. Still grieving and supporting the families of Lavelle, Devin, and Deshaun. But really just grateful to be on the grass is big picture for me. So was excited to see these guys have a ton of enthusiasm to start the day. I thought it was a really good first day. Not a ton of just practice fundamentals that I had to correct, so there was a lot of carryover from the last time. You worry about those things when you've had a long break, how much of just the fundamentals and the core values that you're going to have to coach. But I thought the strength staff did a great job of preparing them, so I was just grateful to be back on the grass, to be honest with you.
Let's go to Andrea Adelson.
Tony, did you feel like you had to do anything different to prepare the team for being out on the practice field after everything they've gone through over the last several months?
Great question. Actually, I didn't feel like I had to do anything different. I think coming back in January, I was a little bit nervous, apprehensive because they had been gone for such a long time, and obviously everything was still really new. But the guys came back with just an unbelievable sense of urgency and unbelievable spirit about them, and so they carried that right into the weight room. And the strength staff, as I said before, did a great job of just fostering that energy. So I just didn't want to mess them up, to be honest with you. I didn't want to make it bigger than what it needed to be. We talked a little bit. We had some media training with some of the top guys just to have them prepared for some of the questions that they may get. But I was prepared if we needed to, but I didn't feel like there was a sense that I needed to over-address it. We talked about it in good length when we got back initially as a team. And then our sports psychology department did a great job of helping these guys transition over the 4 or 5 weeks that we had of winter training. So I was prepared, but to be honest, I didn't feel like I had to do anything with where the temperament of the team was coming into today's practice.
Hank Kurz.
Hey, Tony, kind of along the same lines, what element or what presence will what you guys went through have this season?
And that's still to be determined because there's still a lot of milestones that we got to get to. There's this, as I told the guys, is we're not moving on, but we do have a responsibility to move forward, and we believe that the spirits and the legacies of the 3 young men that we lost will want us to move forward. But there's going to be some times where there's going to be some emotional milestones that we're going to have to get through. So it's still to be determined, but I believe from what I've seen so far, the guys have really taken hold to the appreciation and the gratitude that they have to be here at the University of Virginia to carry forward the legacy. So to answer that question and give you a straight answer, I'd be making something up because this is going to be something that we're going to have to deal with as we move forward, and we have to anticipate when some of those milestones that are going to come, but also at the same time too, I think organically we have to work through those as a team because again, every person has their own process of grieving. They have their own process of moving forward, and we'll do it together as a team, and we'll deal with those milestones as they come.
And what is if I can follow up? What is Mike's status?
Yeah, no, Mike looked good today. Mike was full go. Obviously, want to be smart with his progression back in, but he did everything in winter workouts. He was full go today. Today was a non-contact practice. The first 2 practices are just in our spider pads, which are not true shoulder pads. It's just bumpers to protect the shoulders and helmets. And so there's no real contact today. Everything is stay on your feet, tag off tempo. But I've been so impressed with him just all the way around, physically, how his body has recovered, but more importantly, just how spiritually, mentally he's responded and prepared himself to get back out here and compete. So really proud of how he's progressed. And his status is he's full go, but we'll be smart as well as we transition him into some of the full contact stuff because we want to be mindful of where his body is and let him kind of go at his pace. He's a guy that's played a lot of football, so it's not something where we have to throw him right into the fire to figure out what he can do. I want to do what's best for him, both mind, body, and spirit.
Thank you.
Jackie.
Yeah, Will Bettridge is wearing number 41. Obviously, that's Deshaun Perry's number. Well, what was that conversation like? Did Will approach you about that, about doing that in honor of Deshaun? What was kind of like conversation going there?
That was a conversation where I approached Bettridge and then obviously spoke with the Perry family, let Bettridge think about it. They were high school teammates from the same area, and I just thought it was fitting, at least for this next year coming up, for him to be the first person to wear it. And then obviously we have some guys already on the team that are wearing 1 and 15, so really want to make it meaningful and have some type of relationship and connection to the guys that wear those numbers in the future. And right now we don't have anybody slated on the offensive side to wear 15, so we'll still continue to work with the Chandler family and process that to figure out who the right person is. But really, it was just thinking about it. I thought because how well he did speaking at the memorial, just the investment that I saw Deshaun taking him, I just thought it was only right, a high school teammate that has a true connection to the family to carry forth that legacy next season.
Ann Parker.
Yeah, Coach, kind of going back to Mike, I was sitting over near you when he caught that beautiful pass. What was it like for you, or what is it like for you to watch him in full practice, given everything he's been through?
It means a lot, to be honest, to see all these guys practice. This is the first time that we've been on the grass since everything transpired back in November. But him in particular, just to watch how he's attacked everything, could easily have made excuses, could easily have overthought things, but man, he's taken it upon himself to respond and show perseverance and be resilient. And I think a lot of it is for himself, but a majority of it is for his teammates. So just to see him, because there was a time when we didn't know if he'd ever have a chance to play football again. And so really, it's like I said, I'm just grateful to be on the grass, grateful to have an opportunity to be here at the University of Virginia and lead this program, lead these young men, all the guys that decided to come back and pick up the pieces and turn this tragedy into a triumph. So it's really a blessing for me to see all these guys run around, but in particular, man, just so happy for Mike because we all know as a football player that your time's going to come to an end. You definitely wouldn't want it to come to an end in that fashion. So to see him to have another opportunity just to go out on his own terms makes it really special.
Mike Barber, and Mike, I know you're getting ready to board a plane, so if you need to jump in with a couple of questions, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick, Tony, you're going to be breaking in a whole bunch of transfers who did not go through the shooting and the trauma and all that. What challenge is there in incorporating, it's always hard to incorporate new guys, but to do it in light of what the other players have gone through?
I tell you what, those guys have done an unbelievable job of just becoming part of the team. They understood what they were signing up for. They understood, the situation in the locker room that they were walking into, and they've just become one of the brothers. To be honest with you, and you've already seen some leadership out of those guys. And again, not going to make it something more than it needs to be for them, but I think that they understood coming in the door, and they also accepted the challenge. They wanted to be a catalyst that helped these guys that went through that to be able to move forward and respond and rebound and carry the legacies forward. So it's actually been really, really pleasant to watch these guys just jump right in with 2 feet. They haven't shied away from anything, and they've taken it upon themselves to make it important to them, which says a lot about the character that these young men have.
You naturally have to get leadership from the quarterback position. For Tony coming in, just getting to know the guys, just establishing himself, how is he striking a balance between showing some leadership and not maybe overstepping?
The great thing about Tony is he was doing it at Monmouth before he got here, and he was a leader, had success on the field, so he already had a command presence in his locker room with his teammates. And from day one, he understood the importance of his role as the quarterback, and from the beginning, he was dragging guys out to throw and really, really embracing that. So I'm not going to take credit for it. He brought a lot of that in the door, to be honest with you, just because of his past experiences. Has a little bit of chip on his shoulder, but he just loves football. He loves football. He's eager to have an opportunity to compete at a higher level, and I'm just grateful that he chose the University of Virginia. And so far, it's been good for all of us, coaches, players, position mates, guys on the defensive side of the ball. Just the poise and the leadership that he brings.
And last one for me, a couple of the guys when we talked to the transfers mentioned the idea that it almost feels like free agency, right? In college, you kind of can go to another team. And what challenge does that present to you as a head coach? We talked a little bit about the chemistry, but some other things in terms of, hey, you are remaking a roster.
But I think it's a challenge for everybody in college football. But I think there's some really good aspects to this transfer portal, right? I think it was something that was necessary based off of the climate that we live in. I think that if it's not done right, it can get out of control. But for me, I still want to build my team through the draft and then supplement through free agency, so to speak, to use those terms. And so I still want it to be about the collegiate model. These guys, they have decisions to make. But for us, we're going to be strategic in the kind of guys that we target. Still trying to build a team, because at the end of the day, you can say free agency, you can say pro model, but this is still college football. It's still the collegiate model. There's still a lot of things that make this game special, and it has to do with pageantry and the overall experience. And what I want to do is create an environment here where our guys love to be Cavaliers, whether they're guys that transfer in or whether they're guys that come here out of high school. But I still would like to keep the majority of my team be developmental guys, because this is a developmental sport. All right, this is a developmental sport, and then when you transition to the NFL, there's not as much developing that takes place at that level. So I understand where we're positioned at the collegiate level, that I have a responsibility to help develop these guys. I do have a responsibility to put together a roster, but I still want to lean on what I believe in, and I believe in just the good core things about the collegiate model. And then from year to year, we'll have to supplement our roster, but make sure that we supplement our roster with the right guys that understand, why they're transferring, what they're looking for, and then also challenging my coaches to make sure that the guys that we do bring in here, that they fit the culture that we're trying to establish.
Thank you.
Preston, I know you're on the same flight, so go ahead.
Yeah, hey Tony. I won't ask as many questions because Mike took up all my time. But heading into year two, just looking at how everything went the first season, how has last year maybe affected how your coaching style is now going into this year two in spring practice, and even the tragedy, how has that kind of affected maybe your demeanor and just kind of how you approach things?
Right, I think to answer the first part, if I just look at myself, I had to take a step back, and everything starts with me. Right, so at the end of the day, everything rises and falls on leadership, right? So I'm in charge of the program, so I have to first start with the man in the mirror and make sure that I'm honest with myself. And I'll be transparent. I was a little overzealous, man. I was so anxious and wanting to really get this thing going fast. And I probably pushed a little bit too hard at times. And so this approach, I'm having a different mindset to say, all right, let's really assess where we are, and then let's go at the pace. And then when it's time to push, we can push a little bit harder, but really get a good baseline assessment of where we are this spring. It's all about teaching. It's all about developing. We got another year of installation, so hopefully that stuff will take care of itself. But I can really focus on truly assessing and the development of my staff, the development of my players. And I think from the tragedy perspective is again just a gratefulness to be on the grass. You can't take this for granted. Not that I did before. I always had an appreciation for my job and the responsibility that I have, but even more so, going through what we went through as a program, and even being a person that's dealt with tragedy at a young age. Still, anytime you go through it, it's a great opportunity to reset and recenter and make the main thing the main thing. And at the end of the day, we're here as college coaches because of the student athlete. It's not about us. It's about the student athlete. So this spring, really focusing on just a core value I live by, life and death and the power of the tongue. So making sure that the way that we speak, the way that we talk, everything is edifying and upbuilding to be able to establish the mindset, the culture, and the temperament of the program going forward. So it's a great opportunity for me, this program, this institution, everybody around Virginia football, just to reset, look inside, get back aligned with your core values, so that you can take advantage of every opportunity and every single day that you have, because we learned that, you're not entitled to wake up every single day. It's a blessing and it's a privilege, and you need to, not only when you wake up, then you need to attack every single minute, as it's a blessing and a privilege.
Yeah, quick follow-up. What you mentioned the word overzealous in the first year. Just kind of what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So just to put it in context, I was coming from an environment where for 7 years things have been established, things have been rolling, and so there were a lot of things that I wouldn't say took for granted, but they were things that made sense to me, that were second nature, that were DNA. And then I got here, and now I'm having to teach everybody else what that DNA is, to be honest with you. And then I saw a group of young men that were hungry, that wanted it, that desired it, but they weren't at the same stage as where I was, just from a DNA standpoint. And so sometimes I was almost trying to drag drag them through the knothole, and they weren't ready to go through the knothole. And so that's what I learned today. I got to step back, and yes, you've been to the mountaintop, so to speak, but you can't forget about the journey. And I think sometimes any of us that are highly successful, sometimes we forget about the journey and what it took, because we just want to get there because we've been there before. And so I have to step back and make sure that I do a great job of teaching everybody in the program what those core DNA things are, so that you can establish the routines, the habits, the core values, to be able to make that part of your DNA, so that you can sustain that success. So when I say overzealous, it was just like I'd been there, and I'm like, man, hey, follow me, I've been there. But at the same time too, not everybody's ready to run as fast as you were, and so that's just my job as a head coach. Every single day is to evaluate myself first, and make sure that I'm putting people in position to be successful, as opposed to just expecting when they may not have had the experiences that I've had along the way.
Zach Carey, I'm going to let you get the last question, and then we'll go to our student athletes.
Coach, you mentioned ensuring that whoever won 15 or 41 has some relationship or has can honor Devin, Deshaun, and Lavelle well. Are you aware of any other ways to potentially memorialize the impact that they had on the program and the university?
Right. So Ms. Carla and the administration, along with several folks on my staff, are part of a remembrance team, and they're working nonstop trying to figure out the proper balance of how to memorialize those guys. So you'll see things come, down the road, but just some of the things in-house for me, football-wise, want to make sure that those jerseys, anytime they step on the field, they have a patch on them, donning the name and the years of time at the University of Virginia for Lavelle, Devin, and Deshaun. Then obviously there's going to be some other things in terms of certain games. We'll do certain things, but the biggest thing for us in-house was to make sure that we had a way of creating significance to who wore the number, and then also a way for those guys to always be recognized whenever that number stepped on the field, whether it was on the side of the ball that they played on. Anytime you see a number 1, you'll see Lavelle Davis's name in the years that he was at the University of Virginia, just so that it's always present with us, because for us to be able to get to where we want to go as a program, we're going to need to lean on those guys at times and draw our strength and our motivation and our inspiration from them.